see these type of things or these type of videos, I see, for me, I question a lot of from a mental health standpoint. I question it from a mental health standpoint, and I question it from now a lot of people may say, like, what do you care about the trans community? What do you care about LGBTQ? If you're not LGBTQ, what do you care? When something takes over your culture, it impacts everyone. We all talk about protecting our children, how impressionable our children are, right? How impressionable our children are. We know how impressionable children can be. So when you're pushing certain things to them that, oh, you don't play sports. Well, maybe you don't play sports because you're just not a boy. You're just not. We see how this, oh, you don't like playing with trucks. You don't like, okay. Oh, you don't like dressing up as a woman and being a princess. Then maybe you're just a boy. When we have these things that, it's almost like we're preying on the insecurities of our most vulnerable, our children. That's why it's an issue for me. If somebody wants to wake up and feel like there's something else, then keep that to yourself. But when you're pushing it and promoting it and selling our young kids on it, and you got organizations talking about they're coming for your kids, and you could say that those are just one-offs. I don't see a lot of people on the Democratic side condemning them, right? We want Donald Trump to condemn this group, condemn that group. But when you have a lot of these trans organizations or LGBT organizations, and I've told y'all once again, I separate the people from the movements, just like with Black Lives Matter. I'm a Black life. I think that I matter. Cool. I don't like Black Lives Matter. So I separate the movement from the people. But when you have these organizations that are talking about we're coming for your kids, and then you don't have people that are condemning them, like, what are we supposed to take from that? What are we supposed to take from that? Do you not think that your kids are being impacted or confused when they have drag queens reading them books in school, when they have tampons in the boys' bathroom, and they're sitting there trying to wonder what's going on? And I know we always talk about these things, but in my opinion, they impact us as a culture. They impact us as a culture, no different than when we speak on how feminism has impacted a lot of our women, as how feminism has impacted a lot of our men. So I don't know whether this is a mental health thing. I don't know what it is, but I just watch this and I get uncomfortable, to be totally honest. I get uncomfortable. But let's take a look at it. You guys tell me if I'm missing it. And Uncle Brother wrote, "You're right on point. I realized over 30 years ago that people were getting sick following getting the flu jabs. I've never trusted them or had one since. I've had the flu once in the last 20 years. Yeah. And Uncle Brother, that's the thing. It's like, you know what's so funny? We don't realize, like, nobody wakes up and realizes that, yo, I'm a sheep. I just do what everybody else does. But the majority of people, that's actually how it goes. The majority of us are just sheep. And the ones that aren't sheep, those are the RFK types, or those are the outliers that the rest of the sheep will get together, or let's say it's almost like not the sheep will get together, but the rest of the sheep will get influenced by, like, almost like a Scar type of, I think of like Scar in The Lion King. Like, you'll get the evil person who's going to influence the rest of the sheep to call out the outliers who are simply saying, like, yo, this doesn't make any sense. Like, if you say what you just said, Uncle Brother, let's say that you were in the government and you were speaking from a health expert standpoint, or just giving your insight, you would have people attacking you saying, well, what is your background? You're not qualified. You're not this. All you did was say, I used to get sick following getting the flu shot, and I haven't had the flu in the last 20 years. That's just my experience. But people would be attacking you and saying these things, in which it just goes to show you how blind we are in so many different areas. And this, to me, the video that I'm getting ready to play y'all is just another one of those areas. But I don't even know how to address it. And shout out to Ant, because we'll in a lot of these other situations that occur, we'll say, oh, that's a mental health crisis. That's mental health. But when it comes to transgenderism, when it comes to, let's just stick on that. When it comes to transgenderism, we will encourage it. You got parents that are excited about raising their boys as girls and raising it. It's like, we'll just encourage it. So my question is just, why in certain instances do we say that it's mental health? But in other instances, we're encouraging it and almost making these people heroes in a lot of ways. And I have to think that the majority of people do not think that this is normal, but people just don't necessarily want to speak out on it. And let's just play the video and you guys tell me what your thoughts are.
People have understood the human person to have something to do with his body.
Hi.
Hello.
Blossom. She, her, hers powerhouse.
Blossom Powerhouse. Lovely to meet you.
Yes.
All right. So she spoke a little fast. So Blossom, she, her, hers. She, her, hers power.
Hi.
Hello.
Blossom. She, her, hers powerhouse.
Blossom Powerhouse. Lovely to meet you.
Yes. Go ahead. I want to know your ideology around transgenderism, something that doesn't exist. It just sounds more like conservative propaganda. So I kind of want to know a little bit more about what you're trying to communicate.
Okay.
Let me ask. I gotta stop it. I gotta stop it because I just got a question. As I'm watching this, and I don't even know if I should say what I'm about to say, but whatever. It's almost as if when I look at what they're trying to do with women, Black women specifically, y'all know I've said it before, where it seems like they're trying to turn women into men. I'm almost seeing that same level of aggression play out in different ways where, and y'all know exactly what aggression I'm talking about. All you got to do is look at Jasmine Crockett, Ayanna Presley, Joy Reid, all these women that come out here. You heard Ayanna Presley. What's the lady from, what's the AG from New York? Letitia James, where they're coming out calling, we're all at war. We need to stay. All this aggressiveness from all of these Black women specifically, but women in general, because I think it's impacted women overall. But it's almost like, and even as I'm saying it, it's like, duh. But what I was going to say is that it's almost like they're just trying to make women as aggressive as possible. And here you have this person that was born a man who's now turned into what is coming off to me in the first 20 seconds as a aggressive woman. And it's, I don't know. I'm confused.
Okay, I think for all...
I want to know a little bit more about what you're trying to communicate.
Okay, I think for all of history everywhere, people have understood the human person to have something to do with his body. So like your body has something to do with who you are. Now there is an alternative view, which is called Gnosticism. It's a view that our bodies don't really have anything to do with who we are, that the body is maybe even evil, and that our true selves have no connection to our bodies. And I see in the transgender ideology a kind of Gnosticism that says that you could look like a man, you could have a man's genetics, you could have a man's genitals, you could have a man's everything. But if you feel on some deep level that you're really a woman, then you are really a woman. And I don't think that's true. And I think that the social effects of that are really bad because it leads to the depriving women of their legitimate rights. In some cases, it leads to rapes, notably in the last few years. And it also leads to women losing their sports competitions and their scholarships, and it's just disordered and false. And it also leads to more people adopting this identity, which leads to very high rates of anxiety, depression, and suicide. So it's bad for everyone, and it's not grounded in reality.
Oh, I don't even think you understand what you say sometimes. I don't think you even understand what you say because...
In other words, I have no idea what you just said. That's how I received it, but...
When we talk about these rape cases of women in the restroom, they're coming from cis men like you. So let's be very clear.
No, that's not true. In 2021,
excuse me, do not interrupt a Black
well, I'm just trying to correct you. Well, I would never.
Do not interrupt a Black trans woman when she's speaking. This sounds very familiar. Do you remember that when they were trying to choose the Democratic National Convention or National Chair, where they were trying to figure out the leaders of the Democratic Party? It was like a couple weeks ago where there were 3 Black women that jumped on stage and they said the exact same thing or very similar to what she said. and said, there is a black woman up here speaking. Please give me your undivided attention. There is a black woman speaking. I don't know where this comes from. Well, I think I know where it comes from, but where do y'all think it comes from? All of this.
Interrupt a black woman.
Why is it that, you know what's so funny? And I was having a conversation with my parents the other day, where we talk about like that nature of the aggressive black man, and how the black man used to be seen as so aggressive and in a negative way. I see that is exactly what they have tried to have our women become. Even the men that are the men that are, or the people that are born men and have transitioned to becoming women.
No, thank you. Here's the thing about me
and listen to the point that she made. She said that these cis men, so cis men, I believe, are just like I think I would be a cis man, just men that identify with. This stuff is getting confusing. People that are born men and continue to identify as men. I guess that would be the best way to characterize it. But she's saying, and I'll run it back a little bit, that those are the men that are doing the sexual assaults or something like that. And you'll see throughout the conversation that he's trying to make a point to say that actually that's not true. But yeah, look at them.
Cases of women in the restroom, they're coming from cis men like you. So let's be very clear.
No, that's not true. In 2021,
do not interrupt a black
well, I'm just trying to correct you. Well, I would never interrupt a black woman.
No, thank you. Here's the thing about me as a black trans woman. I am not a threat to cis women, and I think it is harmful that you are going around here spewing that rhetoric, weaponizing this rhetoric against trans people.
Weaponizing facts.
Transgenderism does not exist. We as trans people exist. We are 1% of the population, and there is a lot of power in the trans identity, because you are sitting here spewing something to me that doesn't really exist.
I'm not spewing anything. I'm just stating facts plainly.
I have lived experience. You don't, and you never will. But I do have a question.
I have lived experience.
What if one of your kids came out as trans? How would you react to that?
God forbid. I mean, I would obviously love my children, and I would try to do what's best for my children. And the best thing that I could do to be respectful and also to be conducive to their flourishing is to tell them the truth, which is that they're not really girls.
Oh, come on. I can't even imagine your relationship with your children. No shade.
That's great. That's a great relationship.
I just cannot even imagine that. But here's the reality. We exist. Again.
Yo. This is one of the reasons why I voted for Donald Trump. This is a huge reason why I voted for Donald Trump. Democratic politicians and a lot of people that have kids in their family, whoever else that are, when you can't even just say what a woman is, that's a problem for me. Just for me. I'm not saying that it should be a problem for y'all. But this is like, at what point does it stop? At what point does it stop to where whatever it is that, I was born with this, yeah, but I was born wrong, I can identify as this. At what point does it stop? Because I think y'all may think I'm joking, but I told y'all, I've heard from teachers, from athletic directors that I've spoken to, and there's one in particular. I remember I don't know, give his name, but it was somebody that worked it was Passaic County Tech in Jersey. And we were sitting down at dinner maybe 2-3 years ago, and they were saying that, hey, these kids in school, if they identify as a cat, you have to address them as such. I thought that he was lying. I thought that it was crazy. I'm like, bro, you're reaching. But I really do believe that that's a thing. I mean, it's been confirmed in a lot of ways where you got kids that are identifying as animals, and there's a lot of adults. I know adults that identify. At what point do we say this is a mental health crisis? We need to help these type of people. I don't know if we do. I don't know if we don't, but I'm just asking y'all, will there ever get to a point where we'll see this as a call for help? Is these people just calling for help? I don't know. I don't know. And yeah, I see your comment. Let me catch up with some of these comments. Yeah, and this is the video from last night. Okay, sis, I see that. There you go. Maya wrote, cis men are heterosexual men that identify as men. Yep. Okay. Honest wrote, programming and mimicking is supported by the corrupt media who have encouraged it. Weak-minded people who feel empowered to follow bad ideas and bad leaders. And I almost wonder, this is why I wanted to play that other video when I was talking earlier about the Smith-Mundt Act that allowed us to spread propaganda to other countries when it was big during the Cold War. But then when Barack Obama came in and created the Smith Modernization Act that made it, that allowed it, propaganda to be spread to Americans, you almost wonder, like, is this just propaganda? Like, I don't know what is going on here when I see a video like this. Honest wrote, media has done well in showcasing loud voices who put on a show when they speak. The culture of the media will continue to focus on bizarre ideologies because they want it. And I sit back and just wonder, like, who is this benefiting? Is this just some wealthy person like a George Soros who's just trying to play games or destroy humanity? And I believe that George Soros has actually made those type of claims. I don't want to quote it word for word, but if somebody is aware of these things, I've read certain things that my takeaway was that George Soros has said certain things like his goal is to like destroy humanity. So when you see the type of people that are putting money behind these things, and I know George Soros was not sitting down with Joe Biden and doing conferences in the Oval Office like Elon Musk, but when you look at the money that he's put in to a lot of these organizations, to the government, to support certain candidates, maybe it's worth looking into what these people's what their actual goals are. So my DAC didn't specify which cis he identifies as. Oh, I didn't even get your joke at first, and now I get the joke. There you go. Yeah, I guess a C. I guess you gotta be clear nowadays. All right, let's keep going.
People like you do not have the intellectual capacity to hold conversations like this, because in a minute you're gonna reduce this down to genitalia, and then we're gonna have the shit.
This is what happens with a lot of people when they don't agree with your political views and ideologies. And I want to, right after this video, I'm going to tell y'all the story of how I was called an idiot at lunch by an attorney that just disagreed with my politics. And I'm going to say, it is what it is. Y'all know I'm going to keep it real. And I'm going to tell y'all exactly how that went. But this is what happens when somebody just doesn't agree with your view on life. They start to insult your intelligence, start to say certain things. They become the very people that they criticize a guy like Donald Trump for being. But let's keep going.
Get this somewhere else, because obviously
no,
people like you, that's where they go, right?
In a minute, what I'm going to do is correct something you said. When you said that the rapes that have occurred.
And my fault, hold on, I missed a couple comments. Uncle Brother wrote, I'm all for self-expression, but I say that with the caveat of one's natural self-expression. Capital on the natural. My fault, I didn't put it on the screen. Growing up back in the day, there were soft, quote unquote, soft boys. They were teased, but were never encouraged to transition. Interesting, bro. Interesting. Okay, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Pandora's box has been opened. The bizarre, twisted, sick ways of just a few have been pushed to another level by those with money and control of the media, especially social media, to normalize it. I 100% agree. 100% agree. I think we can skip to you being called an idiot story. We'll finish this and then we'll get to it.
Occurred in these bathrooms are cis men.
White cis men, I should say, actually.
That isn't true. Loudoun County, 2021, the big case that actually ended up flipping the state was because there was a boy who wore a skirt, went into the girl's bathroom and raped a girl in a particularly hideous way. And do you know what happened? Hold on, don't cut me off. You said you wouldn't.
A cis boy. It was not a trans woman. All y'all do is go back to cis boys. You're always talking about cis boys. I don't understand the fascination with trans bodies and what's happening in the bathroom. It is mostly happening.
I think
from
you're
white
filibustering. filibustering because you don't want me to tell you what happened in the bathroom.
Who?
Me. I think you're filibustering
child,
me.
no.
I think that you're distracting from the fact that a boy wearing a skirt in a girl's bathroom raped a girl.
But not a trans woman.
Well, there's no such thing as a trans woman.
Oh, yes, it is. You're looking at one right now.
I'm looking
You're looking at me
I'm
right
looking
now.
at
with lived experience.
I'm looking
with
at
lived experience. You are looking at a trans woman who has been transitioning for over 20 years, who has lived experience.
Yes.
You're talking to an activist here.
But your identity is not grounded in reality.
To somebody that's extreme. Oh, I am
I'm not really talking to anyone because you keep talking over me.
So pretty much this whole lived experience, I don't even know what that means, but since everybody has different experiences that they are living, then I guess nobody can tell anybody, like there can ever be any standard. There's no standard because everybody has their own lived experiences.
In your head, I'm not, but I am in reality. Yeah. I'm here in front of you right now talking to you.
You're confused about your identity.
No, you are confused
I'm not
at the fact that you don't really have any talking points right now because
then why aren't you letting me speak?
You really don't.
If I have nothing to say, why aren't you letting me speak?
Put me on your show. How about that?
Then it would become your show, I think.
Oh yeah, I should have a show. I should have a show.
In 2018, there were 2 rapes in bathrooms, and one in Wisconsin, one in Georgia.
From men.
Also because of the transgender identity.
But say it, cis men.
If you're going to describe a boy who wears a skirt and goes into a girl's bathroom as a cis man, no, I didn't.
No, you are. This is the example that you run to. Past that, you have nothing.
I've just given you 3 examples.
Nothing.
I've given you 3 examples in recent years.
You don't. You've been struggling this entire time.
News to me. Have I?
Yeah, you have.
I think the trans lady doth protest too much, methinks.
Bye. Goodbye.
Perhaps I'll see you on my show.
Yes, invite me.
Yeah.
The Democrats and liberals are on the right of this screen that I'm looking at, and the conservatives and Republicans are on the left. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? And I know people say, well, I'm a Democrat, but I don't. Do you forget that Joe Biden said that his #1 priority was the LGBTQ community when he was running in 2019? So I know people like to say, like, well, I voted for them, but I didn't, vote for those things. Well, that was the priority of the party that you voted for. So how did you not also vote for those things? We'll continue. All right, let me get this off the screen real quick. Wild. All right, so let me tell y'all this thing that happened at lunch, and how, in my opinion, a lot of these strong liberals, I was going to say especially the white men that are liberals, but I don't know if that's the case. But a lot of these strong liberals across the board. And hold on, let me get honest at this point. Let me read this first so I don't have to go back. No sanity because it goes against common sense. This type of messaging won't be successful.